Okay, so we're going to try this again. I keep trying to do video reviews on the Catholic Schoolhouse curriculum, and it's a long story. YouTube hates me. So what I thought I would do is try it this way. Catholic Schoolhouse. If you were to order it, this is what it's going to look like when it comes to you, the tour guide. The tour guide, think of the tour guide as lesson plans. And this is year 3. Catholic Schoolhouse goes in 3 years and it's cyclical. Year 1, year 2, year 3. I bought year 3 at the conference. And when it arrives to you, it comes beautifully spiral bound, which is so helpful to Mom. And when you open it up, I'll show you this way. I feel like I'm back in my education classes in college. This is how you teach the class. Okay, so when you open it up, there's a yearly overview that tells you all of the things that you're going to learn broken down into 4 quarters, and it goes by subject: history, science, classical languages, geography, fine arts, religion, math, and language arts. Can you see that? Let's slide it over for first quarter. Wow. Steven Spielberg, I am not. Okay. The next page begins your first quarter, which is what we are working on. And it breaks down everything that you're going to learn by subject, and within that subject what you're going to learn. So for history, you can see that we'll be learning about the Renaissance, science, ecology. And let's see, your geography, continents, oceans, geographic vocabulary, Australia, you know. So let's take a look at week 1. Here's week 1. And week 1 starts with religion, learning about St. Ignatius of Loyola. Catholic Schoolhouse also comes with a set of CDs. So on the CD, there's a brief little segment about St. Ignatius of Loyola, who he was, what he did. So they're listening to that whenever you play the CDs. Then you can talk about St. Ignatius of Loyola at the table. Next is the 10 Commandments. There's a song on the CD that talks about, well, it doesn't talk about, they sing about the 10 Commandments. And it's very catchy. And it'll get stuck in your head, and it's really working on the kids. So, 10 Commandments, and the basic definition. What are the 10 Commandments? The 10 Commandments given to Moses on Mount Sinai explain our basic moral duties. And then on the song, it goes through all 10 Commandments, and like I said, it's catchy. Then, oh my gosh, I am so sorry, guys. I am awful at this. Okay, so then on the CD, you can also listen to music by George Frederick Handel, the Messiah. Just the parts that they're really going to recognize when they're out and about at the store and they just happen to hear it and go, oh my gosh, that's by George Frederick Handel. It's the Messiah. Art says that you're going to be learning about Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper. So, let me grab the art book. This is the art book, sorry. Once again, spiral bound, lovely. Art, year 3. Open it up. Catholic Schoolhouse. Renaissance through modern art. Little note to the teacher from the authors. And this also gives little tips, you know, how to work the art. And then what I love, and I should have paid attention to before we did our first project, is it breaks it down into quarter and weeks and exactly what art supplies you will need to finish off these art projects. Incredibly helpful. Did I look at that? No, I didn't. So we did our art projects on white paper instead of black. Did I have yellow paint to paint a monstrance? Psh, just a little. We survived though. Then this is Leonardo da Vinci, who you have learned that, you know, in your tour guide it tells you that you're going to be learning about the Last Supper. He painted the Last Supper, and there's a little blurb about him along with some of his paintings. Flip the page. Huge picture, Last Supper, painted by Leonardo da Vinci. Week 2, you will be Actually, week 2, you're going to be still working on the Last Supper. Week 3, Last Supper. And within those 3 weeks that you're going to be talking about the Last Supper, there are 3 art projects to work on. So the first week, we did the Last Supper monstrance. And I am really jumping around. So here's what it looks like when you're doing, the actual art project. Week 1, Leonardo da Vinci, Last Supper monstrance, an introduction, the supplies that you'll need, the objectives, the terms to know, the skills that they'll be learning, and here's, a little teacher prep section that tells you what you need to be doing to prep the project. And a picture of the final product. This is what I love, step-by-step instructions. Okay, even talks about paintbrush etiquette, which it's one of those things that I don't really think about teaching my kids paintbrush etiquette, but it's important. I had no idea you were not supposed to leave a paintbrush in water to sit there and soak. I kind of thought that was a good thing. It's not. So, step-by-step instructions for painting the monstrance. We did this last Friday. My kids loved it. They loved it. So then, week 2, you're still working on the Last Supper, except this time you're doing a perspective study. And we actually did this project when I was in 4th grade, and it is seriously one of my favorite projects that I've ever done in art class, and I loved it. We also did one where it's like a sidewalk with buildings along the side, and you really had to work on parallel lines and angles, and it was really fun. So, because in the Last Supper, there are all these lines that lead to this vanishing point, and Christ is in the center because he's most important, you're working on perspective, okay? There's once again, your terms to know, your skills that they're going to learn, a picture of the final project, and then, once again, step-by-step instructions. This is what's great. You do not have to be an art major. You do not have to be an artist to teach this kind of art to your kids. The instructions help any mom or any dad who wants to teach this, and the kids just love it. So then, the next art project does deal with the Mona Lisa. So before, back at the front, under Leonardo da Vinci, full color page, Mona Lisa, year that it was painted, artist again, and then you flip to your project, which you learn is going to be a self-portrait. Now, this is adorable because Lacey from Catholic Icing went through and gave ideas for different ways to draw faces, different hair, different lips, different eyes, different noses, just a lot of personality going on. And then step-by-step instructions on how to get that self-portrait. So, then, once you get completed with Leonardo da Vinci, you're to a completely different artist, which is Albert Dürer, and Dürer, I'm so good with my foreign painters. Then, you start learning about his kind of art. I am really good with words, aren't I? His kind of art. They love me in museums. Okay, so back to our tour guide. You've taught art. Maybe it's a Friday. Maybe you did your project. So now, gosh, I am so sorry. You all are so patient if you're watching this. Okay, so then you can come over here to history. Now, with the history, you'll learn that you're going to be talking about the Renaissance, Ivan the Great, the Medici family, Tudor England, and Diaz sails around the Cape of Good Hope. With your history come these cards, which match up, by the way, exactly to these little tiny thumbnails over here. Not only do you have a full little picture and card that the kid can hold, you have a brief synopsis on the back of what the card is about. So this one's about the Renaissance. This is how my child can tell me what secular humanism is now, because I read the card once and he remembered it. All of the cards, DS sails around the Cape of Good Hope, all of the cards have the synopsis on the back. So you lay those out, you talk about them, and Catholic Schoolhouse even comes with a card of suggestions on how to work with the history cards, which is just, it's helpful. So, talk about the history cards, your kids learn information. Then you can move on to geography, which is over here. And you can see that this week, during week 1, they were learning about the continents and the oceans. Once again, on the CD that they're listening to, there's catchy little songs about the continents and the oceans. And I have to say that I feel a little bit cheated with my public school education because I learned that there were 5 oceans. And one of those oceans was called the Southern Ocean. In my entire 30 years of living, I had never heard of the Southern Ocean. But it's true. We have a Southern Ocean. I looked it up. So, there's songs that go with the geography. I pulled up maps. I pointed out the maps, you know, the continents and the oceans on the map. We also have a globe. Geography. Then you can see in the center, you have some math. Learning to skip count by 2s and 3s. There's a song on the CD, and my 6-year-old can now skip count by 3s and 2s. Science and ecology, ecology is what you're learning about. The 5 kingdoms are monoran, protist, fungus, plant, and animal. Catchy little song. My 4-year-old can sing it. Later, you will learn exactly what those things are. Classical roots, you're learning the Latin roots of words. Photos, meaning light. You know, the other day you can see one of them reads metron, which is Latin for measure. And when I was reading through the words, I don't know why. If you've ever seen, what is the name of the Megamind, the movie? The city's name is Metropolis, or Metro City. And so I don't know why, but when I saw Metron, I was like, I am Metron Man, and I measure things. And so the kids thought that was hilarious. They're a good audience. And so now my 4-year-old, when I say, what is metron? He goes, metron, to measure. So it's kind of funny. Language arts. What are the 8 parts of speech? So they just learn what they are this week, right? Once again, it's on the CD. They hear it set to song. Nouns, pronouns, verbs, adverbs, conjunctions, interjections, prepositions, and adjectives. It's set to song. My 4-year-old can sing it. But next week, on week 2, you learn that a noun is a word that names a person, place, thing, or idea. So they're building on what they've learned each week, and they're kind of going into more detail. And then just a little, you know, history to go along with the cards is just, you know, tell me about Tudor England. My 6-year-old, for some reason, has really, really become obsessed with King Henry VIII, and he wants to know everything about him, and so those are the books. Oh, and I'm sorry, I don't have the science book yet because Kathy has to send it to me. So, you know, we're just learning about the 5 kingdoms. The science book has experiments in it. It expands upon what you're learning in week 1. I'm sorry that I don't have it, but I can pretend that this is the science book because it's a separate book, just like the art book, that you can go through every week and, you know, work on the science. We went to the library yesterday. My 6-year-old and me, we made a date, and we had a library date. We went, and I just started looking in the nonfiction section and the biography section about people that we're learning about this week, and that we'll be learning about in the next 4 weeks or so. And so I just happened to go through, and these are only 3. We have over 30 books checked out at our library. I still don't know what the limit is, but apparently we haven't reached it. So, European rediscovery of America. There's information in there about the explorers we're learning about. Henry VIII, I told you my kid is obsessed. And the Renaissance world. Why the Renaissance world? Because we're studying the Renaissance and art. And there's the art, some of the art that, I mean, right there. You saw in the art book that this exact same painting of Da Vinci, his self-portrait, it's right there in the art book. So when we're flipping through this, my 4-year-old will go, oh, hey, it's Leonardo da Vinci, just like in our art book. So we just got a ton of different books at the library that also go with this, so that not only are they learning it out of the book, not only are they hearing it on a CD, it kind of makes it more real when you're reading other books and the same people and the same themes and the same subjects that you're learning about, they're right there in a book for them to read about. So, I don't know. I can't really think of anything else that I can show you from Catholic Schoolhouse. It's a really neat program. It's laid out there for you. Now, it's not going to tell you, today in religion, you need to tell them that St. Ignatius of Loyola did this, this, and this. And, in history, you need to, it leaves it very open for moms to really run with it. If you want to teach them the basics of what's on this page and what's in the art book and what's on these history cards, that's great. For a young kid, they're going to get a lot out of that. But if suddenly, while you're looking at this, you go, oh my goodness, my kid was asking me about Spanish words the other day. Why don't we do a little Spanish lesson? Where is the chair in Spanish and the window and the door? It ties in because St. Ignatius of Loyola was from Spain, and, he spoke a different language than we did. So there are definitely ways that moms can branch out and do whatever they want just from this simple little page. Leonardo da Vinci was from Italy. Why not let the kids help make an Italian meal to go along with learning about Da Vinci? Now, for those who have actually kept up with me and this whole I'm so excited about Catholic Schoolhouse, I've already talked about those kind of examples, but let's look ahead. This is week 16, and in week 16 you're learning about Saint Bernadette. You're learning about what are the 3 theological virtues. You're listening to the 1812 Overture by Tchaikovsky. And you are studying Degas and the ballerinas. You are learning about North African countries. And the Industrial Revolution, St. John Marie Vianney, Karl Marx, what he wrote, his manifesto. China's Taiping Rebellion, gotta brush up on my Chinese, and the First World's Fair. Why are you learning about all of those things? This is the one thing that I forgot to tell you. Because all of these things happened at the same time. How difficult is it for a 6-year-old to learn about Saint Bernadette, but then also talk about World War II? Different things were happening. People wore different clothes. People lived different ways. So when you're learning about all of these different people and the music and the art that was going on all at the same time, it's all intertwined. It all connects to each other. And I think that it's easier for kids. It's easier for me, and I'm 30 years old. So for a 6-year-old or, an 8-year-old or a 4-year-old, I would think that is really important, that they know that whilst St. Bernadette is singing Our Lady of Lourdes, Tchaikovsky's composing 1812 Overture. And while he's composing 1812 Overture, Degas is painting ballerinas. And, the Industrial Revolution's going on, and St. John Marie Vianney's there, and Karl Marx is writing his Communist Manifesto, and the First World's Fair. So I just think it's incredibly important and useful that all of these subjects and topics intertwine, and they're all connected, and I just think it's easier for kids to really get an idea. So let's see here. Saint Bernadette, she's French, right? So why not learn some French words during this week? Africa. There's a website out there. I've pinned it on my Pinterest. If you happen to follow me on Pinterest, it's under Homeschool Ideas, and you can print out these maps that are 5 feet by 5 feet. You have to tape them together, but you could print out Africa, huge 5 feet by 5. I mean, you can go smaller, but 5 feet by 5 feet. Tape it to your wall and find Morocco and Algeria and Tunisia and Egypt. Find these countries, or put it on the floor and let the kids, color the countries or something. So it really does. Oh, and then science that week, you're learning about friction and forces and motion, and like I said, you can just branch off and do so much with this. I love it. So that is Catholic Schoolhouse. And I think that I have answered and kind of shown you how it all works together. Now that I talked about Degas, because in that particular week you're learning about Degas, let me just show you. There's the little synopsis on Degas. You learn about Impressionism. You learn about his life. And then here's the full-page pictures of his paintings, which, you know, most people think about Degas and the ballerinas, but in this one, he paints horses. So guess what? For that particular painting, you get to learn how to draw a ballerina. And let me tell you something. Drawing the ballerina the night that I was having this whole, you know, panic attack about, I don't know if I can teach this. I sat down, I drew the ballerina from start to finish, and I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I don't know what it is about the ballerina, but it was so much fun to draw the ballerina. But the ballerina really has nothing to do with the horses that I was just telling you about, does it? Aha, that's because I was on the wrong page. You get to learn to draw horses. And this is another one that I sat down and actually, followed this step-by-step instructions, and I drew a horse. And I was like, I can really do this. I can draw a ballerina and I can draw a horse, so I can do this. And my son begged me. You know, he's 6. He was like, please, can we draw the ballerina and the horse because you sat down and drew them? I was like, well, that's not until week 17. Please. So I let him. And in his phonics book the next day, he had instructions to draw a girl with curly hair. Why he was drawing for a phonics thing, I don't know. But that was the instructions. Draw a girl with curly hair. I look over, and he had redrawn the ballerina from memory. He drew her. Because he said at the top of her hair, or the top of her head, she has curly hair, because she has a bun. And so it stuck, and he did it by memory. He didn't need the instructions, and that's how much he enjoyed drawing the ballerina. So the ballerina, life-changing. So Catholic Schoolhouse. You have your tour guide, which includes your lesson plans, the art book, and then the science book that you pretend that is in front of my face right now. And then your history cards with suggestions, with synopsis on the back. And then you also have the CDs, which my kids listen to at night when they go to bed, and my kids listen to in the car, and they also listen to while I'm prepping lunch and during lunchtime. So they're hearing it a lot. And they're singing the songs around the house, and even my 2-year-old's starting to pick up on the words and singing some of it. So Catholic Schoolhouse is great. Everybody's around the table. Everybody's learning the same thing. Everybody's taking different things away from it on their own level. And the great thing is, once year 3 is done, we can go to year 2. We can go to year 1. We finish that. We go to the 3rd year, which, you know what I mean. We go to the next one, and then you start all back over with this one. So my 6-year-old, who will be 9, he is going to learn all of this information over again, but you can break away and do different projects at that age of his life. That'll be a little more in-depth and detailed than what it is right now. So, I love Catholic Schoolhouse, if you have not figured that out yet. And I hope that if you guys are thinking about doing it, if you get it, I hope you enjoy it as much as we have. I think you're really going to be impressed with how much information your kids actually walk away with and can repeat back to you. It's incredible. So, thanks for watching.